www.ashrafulaid.org.
Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less.
میرے نبی پیارے نبی سنت تیری دنیا بھی.
Sunnah a day. The following dua should be recited before entering the bathroom. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith. O Allah, I seek your protection from the male and female devil. Enter the bathroom with the left foot.
Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less.
Imagine this. You're putting together a 7-color meal, from the creamy pasta to the glazed carrots and flavorful onion gravy. This entire meal is made with our 100% pure extra virgin olive oil from our La Familia range, bringing outstanding quality and taste to your kitchen. Shop La Familia 100% pure extra virgin olive oil at any leading supermarkets near you. La Familia, heart of the home.
Listen to News in Focus on Radio Al-Ansar, Durban 90.4 and Peter Marisburg 105.6 FM every Wednesday from 8 p.m. with Yunus Saccoor. That's 8 p.m. every Wednesday, Radio Al-Ansar, keeping you informed.
خدا نے مجھ کو دیا ماں تیری دعاؤں سے، ماں تیری دعاؤں سے ملا ہے جو بھی ملا، ماں تیری دعاؤں سے، ماں تیری دعاؤں سے، ماں تیری دعاؤں سے، جہاں جہاں بھی گیا دل بچھانے لگے، جہاں جہاں بھی گیا لوگ دل بچھانے لگے، یہ ہے تیرا میرا ماں تیری دعاؤں سے، تیری دعاؤں سے، ماں تیری دعاؤں سے، ماں تیری دعاؤں سے، ماں کی دعا جنت کی ہوا، 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 یہ کامیابیاں شہرت قدم قدم پہ ملی، یہ کامیابیاں شہرت قدم قدم پہ ملی، نصیب ایسا ملا ماں تیری دعا سے، تیری دعا سے، ماں تیری دعا سے، ماں تیری دعا سے، طواف میں जो मैंने मेरा किया माँ तेरी दुआओं से तेरी दुआओं से माँ तेरी दुआओं से माँ तेरी दुआओं से मुझे गिराने पे हासिद तूने हुए थे मगर मुझे गिराने पे हासिद तूने हुए थे मगर मैं दुश्मनों से बचा माँ तेरी दुआओं से तेरी दुआओं से माँ तेरी दुआओं से माँ तेरी दुआओं से कसम है इसमें उजाले का कुछ जमाल नहीं कसम है इसमें उजाले का कुछ जमाल नहीं उरूज से को मिला माँ तेरी दुआ
I can't hear you, brother. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you.
Are really sitting and talking to each other. And I think it's now time that the rapists associations get together and talk exactly how they're going to handle this 2026 elections, because we have had enough now. And you must remember that service delivery has been really, really poor, and money's irregular expenditure has been very, very heavy. And I mean, if you look at all the corruption or the expenses that are being made, it's ridiculous. And who is paying for it is the ratepayer and the community.
So, from a perspective of municipal elections that are taking place in 2026 or late 2025, what does the public feel out there?
Well, they basically disillusioned of what's happening. I mean, if you look at even the amount they're paying for the lights and the water and etc., it's actually putting them in a very disillusioned perspective, because really, you can't expect a pensioner earning 2,000 rand paying 8,000 rand lights and water. So there's really a dark cloud over the association at the moment.
Okay, we'll unpack that a little bit later. We'll take a short break because we're trying to reach out to Brother Ismail Moolla. There's a bit of a problem with the sound coming through. So we'll take a short break and we'll continue after the break.
The chaos and destruction in the Gaza Strip is beyond comprehension. Virtually everyone is displaced, hungry, and in urgent need of life-saving humanitarian support.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Nothing, my man. Can you hear me?
But I could see your level.
But I couldn't hear you.
I could get your level.
No, I'm on the maximum here. Why don't you just do it over the phone then? Okay.
Help them to continue their education by sponsoring a student at the Amman School of Excellence in Lebanon for 25,200 Rand per year. Education at Amman can provide a brighter future for refugee families.
AMA, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Welcome to the Village Code Cafe and Bistro, where flavors dance and every gathering feels like magic. Halal certified and run by 3 sisters, we serve breakfast all day, from bagels and sourdough open sandwiches to burgers, wraps, toasties, tacos, nachos, and our signature coffee blend, crafted just for our cafe. Host your next event with us, all in a space that feels as good as it tastes. Find us at the Westville Village Market, 123 Jan Hofmeyer Road, lower ground level. Call us on 079 670 4093. The Village Co, where every bite feels like home.
Radio Al-Ansar, together with Monty's Convenience at Astron Energy, in association with The Witness, Public Eye, Marisburg Sun, and proudly supported by Msunduzi Municipality Tourism Unit. It's a day full of flavor, culture, and community. Delicious food stalls, vibrant energy, and entertainment. A celebration of South African rich heritage. Don't miss the excitement, the taste, and the togetherness. It's all happening at the Heritage Day Food Festival. We'll see you there.
Ya Rasool Allah, Ya Habib Allah, Aka, 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 Aka. پھر کے گلی گلی تباہ ہو کر سب کی کھائے کیوں دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں رخصت قافلہ کشان غش سے ہمیں اٹھائے کیوں رخصت قافلہ کشان غش سے ہمیں اٹھائے کیوں سوتے ہیں ان کے سائے میں سوتے ہیں ان کے سائے میں کوئی ہمیں جگائے کیوں پھر کے دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں یاد حضور کی قسم غفلت عیش ہے ستم یاد حضور کی قسم غفلت عیش ہے ستم خوب ہے قید غم میں غم خوب ہے قید
No.
Meats.co.za. Visit us at 84 Felix Dlamini Road, Durban Halal Meats. Quality, affordability, trust. Meat made better.
Johannesburg, are you ready? This October, prepare for an experience that will light up this city. The brand new Al-Ansar Lakewood Festival is coming to the stunning conference center in Omonde. From October 2nd to the 6th, we're taking over for 5 incredible days from 10 a.m. till late. Think Team Al-Ansar meets the best of Josie. From comedy to content creators, it's everyone and everything all jam-packed together. A shopper's paradise, flavors from around the world, non-stop entertainment. This isn't just another event. This is the ultimate family day out. Al-Ansar Lakewood Festival, where Johannesburg comes together.
Radio Al-Ansar, 24/7, 365.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to News in Focus live on Radio Al-Ansar International, broadcasting on the frequency Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Masberg 105.6 FM, and streaming on www.alansar.org.za. My name is Yunus Saccoor, and before the news break, we were chatting with Brother Yunus Carrim, who gave us an update on his book, and at the same time gave us a bit of an overview on the municipal elections that are coming and the state of service delivery in KwaZulu-Natal and indeed throughout the country. He gave some good advice to ratepayer associations. We had some difficulty getting hold of Brother Ismail Moolla, who chatted to us last week about the global Samud Flotilla. Now, this particular 50-odd ships that are sailing towards Gaza, there was hope that last week sometime they should have reached Gaza, but I believe there were some technical hitches. So I'm sure we got Ismail Moolla back online. Ismail, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to News in Focus live on Radio Al-Ansar International.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ismail bhai, we apologize for the breakdown in transmission. I think there was a technical hitch, but we're glad to get you back. Now, Ismail bhai, when we spoke to you last week about this Samud global flotilla, you mentioned that there were indications that after the technical or the problems they had, that they will be floating towards or sailing towards Gaza. Can you give us an update? What has happened and why the delay? Or are they en route?
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah for giving us the opportunity. Once again, Yunus, we understand and we know that the happenings in regard to Palestine are close to the hearts of our brothers and sisters in South Africa. And once again, I would like to give you thankfulness for allowing us to keep them updated. So as you correctly say, we had some issues in terms of the boats. We had some issues in terms of the feasibility of the boats being in the water. Some of the boats were unfortunately didn't pass the seaworthiness test. Remember, we are going on a journey that is approximately 6 or 7 days, and you got to take supplies for that period of time, and that also impacts on the weight of what the boat can carry, and therefore, where you assumed you could take 12 passengers, you could only end up taking 6 or 8 passengers. So that was also an additional challenge which our organizers faced, because now you had to select who goes on and who goes off. But alhamdulillah, we are on water, and alhamdulillah, again, we have 5 South Africans that are on their way to the port of Gaza.
How many ships and boats are sailing? I think last week you mentioned
40 ships are sailing at the moment. 15 of them are waiting at a meeting point in international waters. 25 ships have left already from Tunisia, and they are on their way to meet the other international boats that left from Spain and other ports.
So the 40 boats, I think 10 have dropped off over the period of time. There was I think the origin.
From the 50, yes, 10 have dropped off simply because of non-seaworthiness, and the risk of them sailing in these kind of conditions was proving to be not worth it. But more importantly, the 40 are on their way.
Oh, that's very good. And how many people are on each boat of the 40? Maybe about 6 or 8?
Depending on the size of the boat, it's very difficult to say how many people are. But at the moment in the water, there are over 300 activists.
Alhamdulillah. And in terms of supplies, there's a decent amount of supplies in each boat.
Each boat has its own captain, and each boat takes care of its own requirements. And remember, we from the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, we have a lot of experience in these kind of things. So we've been providing the necessary guidance when it comes to this kind of logistical necessities.
Okay. Now, Ismail, in terms of, you said there are X amount of boats or ships in the international waters, and the others will be reaching there soon, I presume.
It'll take them at least a day and a half, depending on the speed and depending on the conditions on the sea. Because earlier when we spoke to them, the sea was very choppy. And if its conditions are bad, then the speed of the boat automatically slows down.
Now,
so it would take us approximately about a day and a half to join the rest of the group. And from that point, where they would meet in international waters, it will take them, inshallah, 5 days to reach Gaza.
So hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday next week, they should reach Gaza.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Okay, were there any other problems that associated with sort of some kind of drones coming into and causing damage to the ships, etc.? I know in the first 2 flotillas there were some bombings, I would say, on the front deck of the ship. Nothing currently, any drones or any threats coming through?
Nothing at the moment. Everybody is sailing very smoothly, and there hasn't been no drone activity at all. However, we have our ship, the Conscience, that was at a port in Italy, and that is also making its way to a next attempt sometime in October. And that boat this morning was being monitored by drones. Remember, Conscience was attacked in Malta at the beginning of the year.
Right.
So that boat has been repaired and is on its way to a port And this morning, it was there was surveillance on it via a drone. But the
Now
current Samud flotilla, they are all okay, and they haven't reported any untoward activities.
Now the occupants of the various boats, they're quite resilient and they're quite confident that they're going to reach their destination.
Absolutely, absolutely. The morale is very high. The people that we are speaking to, obviously, we have direct contact with our South Africans, and I just want to mention their names because there's 5 of them that are on
Yes,
the
go ahead.
boats. We can't mention which boats they are on, but we've got Zahira, we've got Fatima, we've got Chief Mandla, we've got Riaz, and we've got Zukiria. 5 of them, they are on the boat, and they've left the Tunisian port, and they're on their way now to meet the other international boats in international waters.
So there is South African representation, on the boats, which is Alhamdulillah. Your final message to our listeners, I'm sure, you want them to make du'as that, as we mentioned last week, the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come, and inshallah, nothing is impossible. Notwithstanding all the challenges, difficulties, and threats, your final message to our listeners?
Well, I think it was heart-warming for us from an activist point of view to get a statement from 16 nations that put out a public statement requesting that the flotilla be allowed to complete its mission without any hindrance, and warning that any activity that takes place that will stop them from doing this will be illegal, and action will be taken against them. I think this is a very powerful statement coming from 16 countries, and let's hope that the forces that normally attack us take cognizance of it, and we hope and pray that Allah makes their journey smooth and easy and gives them the fortitude to reach the shores of Gaza, inshallah.
Ameen, Ya Rabbul Alameen. Shukran for joining us, Brother Ismail Bhai, and we will get an update from you, inshallah, next week, because during the next program, we should have an indicator how far those boats are, and inshallah, they must reach their destination and surprise the entire world, notwithstanding the complicity of the West towards the situation in Gaza.
Absolutely amazing, Yunus. It's never been done before. 40 boats with, representative of 50 countries. It's an amazing sight. And, there's some of these videos. It's really heartwarming when you're seeing these boats that are traveling together. But alhamdulillah, we hope and pray that Allah brings them to the final end.
Inshallah. Ismail Bhai, keep up the good work. Shukran for joining us, and we apologize for the delay in reaching you because of the technical hitch, but eventually our listeners have heard you loud and clear. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Brother Ismail Moolla, who was giving us an update on the Sumud Freedom Flotilla. There's been a further delay, but they're on their way again, and let's hope that humanitarian aid reaches our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and indeed they were able to reach the shores and get a complete message to the Zionist regime. Let's get back to our studio guests. I want to get to Narend Ganesh, who's basically a political analyst, party head of NICSA, political commentator, and we wanted to chat about this Mkhwanazi inquest and the Madlanga commission. The commission commenced the inquiry today, and I want Narend, who's been following this, to just give us an update on what's happening in terms of this inquest, and exactly some background into, to give us a bit of a memory jogger as to what was the real reason why Mkhwanazi made all these allegations, and was it long outstanding, etc. And Narend, good evening and welcome to News in Focus, and we're delighted to have you live once again in the studio.
Good evening, Yunus, and good evening to the listeners.
Now, Narend, I know you're keeping in touch with a lot of issues on the government side. You've written to the state president many times with different articles. And before I ask you to comment on the Mkhwanazi inquest, which is a topical matter as we speak, I spoke earlier on to PRAHLADH about the President Ramaphosa's remarks on the local government service delivery problem, which you and I have spoken about many times. And for a change, he has actually acknowledged reaction. Brother Yunus Carrim mentioned that there's a little bit more to that statement than what is being spoken. So perhaps you want to comment on that before we start this quick discussion on the Mkhwanazi inquest.
Yeah, quickly. Look, the truth is there's been a degeneration of service deliveries across the board in the country. And obviously, ANC-run municipalities, including metros, have proven that over the years there's been a dilapidation that is taking place, a degeneration across the board in all kinds of services.
Or a serious decline in service delivery.
Yes.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in the context of how President Ramaphosa made that statement, probably shot himself in the foot, noting that we're having an impending election soon with regards to local government.
But wasn't he making the statement in the light of the GNU, of which the DA is playing an integral part, and basically acknowledging that some of the members of GNU are really performing well, because the DA is a member of the GNU, so he's talking like the government of national unity.
But let's be mindful of something. Come the 2026 local government election, the gloves will be off. There's no more GNU prior to that election, each man for himself. So we've got to bear that in mind.
So all the parties will be running their own elections, and candidates in the different wards, some of them independent, others linked up to other parties,
yes,
will have a fight. So it will be like not a GNU fighting the elections, but individuals linking themselves to political parties.
Exactly. But coming to the point of the service delivery by ANC municipalities, look across the board. One classic example, if we look at, say, Pietermaritzburg, for example. I mean, that was once a beautiful city. And if we go into the heart of the city, it's degenerating, the decline in services, in maintenance, etc. But this comes to the very fact about fraud, corruption, cronyism, and nepotism. When you don't put competent people into positions of power and authority, you will get a decline in services. And, I can compare this to many of the cities in the world that are considered world-class cities. Why are they world-class cities? Is because they've got competent and committed people that makes the cities and towns run. In South Africa, we don't have that culture yet. It's all about what can I get out of it. So that's where, and I think Mr. PRAHLADH will bail me out on this, that all municipalities, especially in KZN, as we've witnessed, are declining rapidly. Look at the state of the municipalities. That will speak volumes.
Now, if you take the municipalities, and you were, or your dad was an ex-councillor, and I was in that space for a long period of time. And over the years, even when there was an apartheid-run municipality, subsequently a transitional municipality where all the parties were represented, and then you had elections and you had the ANC-dominated municipalities, which was a big domination initially, to which service delivery was fine up until the last decade or so, where there's been a bad decline, and that could be attributed to various factors. One is corruption, maladministration, but also retirement of key officials who were running these municipalities, and then cadre deployment, which became a big problem. Now that is still a problem, and Ramaphosa is actually saying in his statement that it's embarrassing that I'm a head of a political party and they're responsible for the decline, not only from the political perspective, because they are the political heads, but also officials are asked to deliver, and they're not delivering. And we spoke about this in previous weeks, where we said that until you don't get rid of these officials, we had one party present, the new party, and they said they're managing the process and running these municipalities effectively, you're not going to have any change because you've got incapable people.
Yeah, look, I don't believe what Ramaphosa says. He's, in my opinion, he's just lying to the South African public. He was in the Zuma administration when the corruption was at its height.
Right.
He kept quiet. It's nice saying, we need to get rid of corruption. He's been saying that from time immemorial, but nothing's been done. I mean, look at the kind of corruption. For example, the Tembisa Hospital saga, just as an example, while that might be in the Department of Health, but it relates to local government as well. So whatever Ramaphosa says, I take with a pinch of salt. But what is of concern to me is the kind of candidates that we're going to put into local government. If they are not committed to transforming municipalities, the local municipalities, which is the interface with the actual consumer, the citizen of the country, we're not going to achieve much. Having political parties say this, that, and the other in their manifestos is not going to be effective if we don't have effective people to bring. If they're not efficient, if they're not committed to the change of municipalities. Because if you think about the kind of councillors we have, and I'm not making a blanket generalization here,
right?
But many of our councillors are not capable or should be in council. They're there for a packet.
So what you're saying is that there have to be a change from the political perspective, which must reflect on the officials sometime going forward.
Exactly.
So we're on common ground. We'll chat about that when we bring in Ish later, and indeed, Hassan. But I just want you to comment quickly on, this Mkhwanazi inquest. A lot of people, they've been hearing about it, that Mkhwanazi made allegations, and people are saying, but why is SAPS messed up? Why is crime on the increase? Mkhwanazi is saying that, listen, he's the provincial commissioner, and he's had a lot of issues with politicians, and files are gone missing, dockets are gone missing. There's no action against perpetrators, and he actually, spilled the beans. He said, let's do something about it, because I can't be held responsible for, lack of progress in criminal prosecutions, etc. So can you give us an update? What are the key issues he raised, which led to this commission, the Madlanga commission, being appointed?
Yeah, he was the first witness today in the Madlanga commission. And just to bear in mind, the Madlanga Commission has been given a frame of reference, and it's got 3 to 6 months in which to complete this investigation. But I made some notes while following the testimony today. And one of the things that Mkhwanazi says was an audit analysis of the copies of the 121 political killing task team dockets. And after they were returned to KZN, they revealed that a small percentage contained fresh entries that detailed, among other things, that the investigations were complete and an arrest could be made. There was one case where contact was made with the victim. Now, Mkhwanazi says that the political, I'll call it the PKTT, right? Members said they received complaints from the family of victims who said they were not receiving an update on the cases. And as a result, he concluded that nothing was being done on these cases. Mkhwanazi also said that Moolla stated that he never authorized General Sabia, his deputy, to take the PKTT dockets.
Right.
Now, this is also in light of what he said further when he made written inquiries about what would happen to the PKTT dockets, and received a response that they would be handed over to the Deputy National Commissioner Shadrach Sabia. He was also asked what was the fate of those 121 criminal dockets.
Right.
He confirmed that they were directed to the national office in Pretoria. Now, in the normal course of events, if a unit was disbanded, dockets would have to be sent back to the police stations where the cases were opened. And this is what Mkhwanazi said. He did not know the reasons why this did not happen, but has his suspicions, and he will get into this later, as he stated. He also stressed that throughout the testimony, that the PKTT dockets was formed by the Inter-Ministerial Committee that contends that Senzo Mkhunu, the Minister of Police, may not necessarily have had the power to unilaterally disband the unit without consulting with the Justice, Defense and State Security Ministers. And Mkhwanazi also said that he did not know if Senzo Mkhunu was aware of PKTT successes, and hopes that he will be asked about this at the Madlanga inquiry, because he never got the chance to ask him about this. He highlighted the dedication, the sacrifice of the PKTT, which he says was praised by Ramaphosa himself. And in this context, Mkhunu's assertion that the team added no value and had made no sense. So basically, this is going to be quite a testimony to be given by Mkhwanazi, and there will be a lot of people implicated in it, high ranking.
So you say that the commission will have its work cut out, and whatever the findings are, there will be implications of politicians, etc.
Most certainly, it seems like it at this point. On a cursory preview of the initial statement suggests that there could be serious implications for seriously high-ranking people.
Now, has this particular inquiry improved the service delivery in SAPs? Because obviously, whilst we talk about municipal service delivery being at a decline, indications are that service delivery on security from both Metropolis and SAPs has been cause for concern. Has there been an improvement, or is it just static?
Well, I think it's early days. The South African police services have actually been revamped, or whatever the case might be. But hopefully, this is going to be the forerunner of changing the entire paradigm within the South African police services.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a short break, and we'll continue our discussion with the rest of the panel after the break.
Plan your dream holiday with the specialist, World of Travel, as we pride ourselves in offering you the best in Hajj and Umrah. We also offer travel packages to the Middle East, Far East, and many more exotic destinations. Call our professional travel consultants now on 031 20 888 or view our website www.worldoftravel.co.za. Visit us at 44 Crescent Street as memorable journeys begin with World of Travel by Irshad Malik.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio-visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Every career comes with a big question. Should I follow my passion or should I choose financial security? This Heritage Day Career Compass invites you to a career workshop where you explore the delicate balance between passion and financial security when choosing a career. The day features interactive sessions of how to master communication skills, CV writing, digital footprints, AI in the workplace, entrepreneurship, and so much more. It's free entry, but registration is required to reserve your seat. Space are limited, so book now.
Within my heart when I'm loving اللهم إنك ترى ما نزل بنا في غزة من الأحوال يا ذا الجلال والعزة يا ذا الجبروت والعزة اللهم أعز أهل غزة اللهم فرج عن أهل غزة اللهم فرح أهل غزة اللهم انصر أهل غزة اللهم داوي جريحهم اللهم اشف مريضهم اللهم اقبل شهيدهم اللهم ارحم ميتهم اللهم كفف جراحاتهم وبرد آلامهم اللهم واجعل لهم وللمسلمين فرجا قريبا يا الله اللهم فرج عنا وعن المسلمين في كل مكان اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين واخذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين يا رب العالمين سبحانك سبحانك ترى الظالمين فتمهلهم حتى يظنوا أنك تهملهم وتبتلي الصالحين في الدنيا حتى يستيئسوا فإن استيئسوا وأتيتهم بنصرهم. اللهم إنك تعلم أن جراحات المسلمين كثيرة وآلامهم كثيرة في كل مكان وفي كل زمان. اللهم فانصرنا على أعدائنا يا الله. اللهم فثبت أقدامنا يا الله.
You know what really gets under my skin? When my cake or icing just doesn't come out right. It's such a bummer. But I found this incredible margarine called Wooden Spoon, and it's been a total lifesaver for my baking adventures. It makes my icing turn out just perfect every time. When I whip up something with Wooden Spoon, I feel like a master baker. Seriously, my cakes have never looked better. The secret? Wooden Spoon margarine. It's like the magic ingredient for nailing those perfect bakes. And guess what? It's even endorsed by the South African Bakers Guild Association. Just another quality product from the Willowton Group.
Audio stream across the world on radioalansar.co.za.
Allah, 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 Allah,
تنہا ہوں میں اور انتہا لاکھوں تنے ہیں سامنے بیٹھا ہوں میں مایوس کن آئے نہ کوئی مجھے تھامنے اللہ اللہ تو میری سن لے صدا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير مایوب ہوں تیرا کرم پردہ رکھا عزت بھی دی بڑھ کے دیا اوقات سے دولت بھی طاقت بھی اور وقت بھی کر دے خطا ہر معاف تو فہرست اسیاں کو چھوڑ دے اللہ اللہ تو میری سن لے صدا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير رنگینیوں خود غرضیوں میں ہے گزاری یہ عمر ہے آرزو بس کہ یہی کر دوں تیرے نام شام و سحر تسکین دل حاصل کروں رخ اپنی جانب تو موڑ دے اللہ اللہ تو میری سن لے صدا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير لب پہ رہے ذکر و دعا اور تجھ سے میں ڈرتا رہوں کر کے عمل قرآن پہ جنت کی راہوں پہ چلتا رہوں خدمت کروں اسلام کی پچھتاوے کا غم توڑ دے اللہ اللہ तू मेरी सुन ले सदा हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर रोता रहा सजदों में जो दिल में लिए उम्मत का गम पढ़ता रहूं मैं तो वतन अपने नबी पे दुरूद हर कदम.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the final edition of News in Focus live on Radio Al-Ansar International, broadcasting on the frequency Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Marsburg 105.6 FM, and streaming on www.alansar.org.za. Before the news break, we were chatting to Narend Ganesh, political analysis, and he was talking about not only the comments made by Ramaphosa, which is obviously cause for concern with the political parties, but it was quite relevant for people to catch a wake-up call, particularly in terms of service delivery. And we're hoping going forward to municipal elections, municipalities will take heed. But according to some of our guests, you'll need a complete, change in political leadership and administration leadership in most municipalities to really ensure that there's a change and improvement in service delivery. Time will tell when that will happen. But I have Hassan Motala, economist and asset manager, who joins us, regularly on Wednesdays in the studio. And we obviously, with all the happenings in South Africa, obviously the financial markets are pretty stable. I mean, the Rand is now on the improvement all the time. Sometime this week it was around the range of between 1750 to 1770. And at the same time, there were a lot of other, improvement in financial indicators. So I want to welcome Brother Hassan Motala. Hassan, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to News in Focus live on Radio Al-Ansar International.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hassan, I noticed the markets are quite stable, and the Rand has improved. Perhaps you just want to give us a bit of an outline as to the reasons why markets are pretty stable, and exactly the reason for the increase or the improvement in the JSE indices, etc.
Sure. I mean, if you look at the JSE over this past year, we're hitting record highs. We are now close to around 105,000 points. Basically an all-time high. So I think if you look at, it's not necessarily only a South African issue. It's globally, we've seen US markets, we've seen the UK markets and European markets all are close to all-time highs, or have just touched all-time highs during this past week. So its global sentiment has been relatively positive and strong for financial markets. Now, if you look at the South African market in particular, there's been a couple of key drivers. Remember, South Africa is a big resource-based country, and we do export major materials such as platinum, gold, iron ore, manganese, and those. But particularly platinum and gold have had a phenomenal run over this past year. Look at where gold prices are. Gold prices have hit record highs over this past month. They've had massive uptick in gold over the last few years, but during this past year, gold has moved up very strongly. Remember, you've had geopolitical concerns with the Russian war over the last few years, the genocide that's taking place in Gaza by Israel against the Palestinians, and then you've had also the recent attacks. Was last week Israeli bombing what you call offices and buildings in Qatar as well. So geopolitics together with concerns around the tariffs and the like have seen gold prices move up very strongly. Secondly, platinum has also seen a very strong uptick. Platinum was basically lagging quite substantially over the past few years, but during this past year, it's moved up close to 30%, and with the result of that, our gold companies and our platinum companies have done very well. So if you look at gold companies, be it Harmony Gold or Goldfields, Anglo Gold, Ashanti, they're all up, anywhere between 80 to over 100% over the past year in terms of their share prices. So that's been a very strong performer to the JSE. Secondly, the platinum stocks, so the likes of Impala Platinum, Northam, and now Valterra, which is the old Amplats, are all also up very strongly during this period. So that's been a strong driver of the JSE, together with the two big tech stocks in our JSE. So Nationale Pers, so Naspers, and Prosus, those companies have also done very, very well during this period. However, if you exclude those companies, if you look at it, which I just mentioned, the gold stocks, the platinum stocks, and the tech, and even to some extent, the property stocks have done relatively well. If you exclude those, the other parts of the JSE of the companies have been okay. And in fact, if you look at some of the retailers, they've actually lagged during the past year. So, for example, the clothing retailers, they've had a tough time. The likes of Truworths and Fushini, they've had a challenging in terms of their stock market performance, but even in terms of also the overall environment, they're finding it a bit relatively tough out there. The banks have done relatively okay, but I think even some of the other South African companies, they're facing it's not all plain sailing and very strong for all the South African companies. They are also facing some challenging times. Now remember, with the tariffs being introduced by the US and Donald Trump recently, 30%, that has a massive impact on certain of our industries. The motor industry in particular, especially the Eastern Cape, they are under severe pressure if these tariffs continue to remain for the foreseeable future. Now, in fact, our Trade Minister Park Stow is meeting with the US Trade Representative tomorrow. Now, inshallah, we're hoping that something positive comes out of that, and there's a decent trade deal that takes place between South Africa and the US. Remember, the US still is our second largest trading partner. While China has become now our largest trading partner, and we are growing trade with other countries and regions like the Middle East and other areas, US is still a big trading partner of ours. So we need to make sure that we still have a decent trade relationship with the US and try to make sure that we reduce those trade tariffs from 30% to hopefully at least 15%, which we've seen the US doing with some of the other countries as well. Now, I think if you look at the economy in general, I think we're doing relatively okay. So, for example, last week when GDP numbers came out, they came out better than expected. While 0.8% is not a very fantastic number, the fact is it was a lot better than what people were anticipating. And you've seen the impact of it coming through from sectors like the mining sector, but also sectors like the manufacturing sector, which also surprised to the upside. Now, also supporting this and trying to ensure that the sort of things are stable and the currency is stable as well, we've seen inflation easing off this past month. Now, inflation numbers came out at 3.3% compared to last month, which was 3.5%. And the big driver for this was, firstly, food prices eased off slightly. Not all across the board, but particularly certain areas you saw it easing off. Although still red meat in particular is still, prices are still very, very robust and up compared to year on year. Secondly, you see transport costs, because remember, we've seen the fuel costs over the past couple of months have been on a downward trend. The impact of that has now started to come through in terms of also your transport related costs, and that is also leading towards a bit of lower inflation as well. So that is helping a little bit in terms of the consumers out there, that they've seen their transport bill sort of coming a bit easing off a little bit over the past few months as well. So I think net, we are seeing the economy slowly improving, better than expected. We're seeing inflation easing off. And with inflation easing off, potentially tomorrow, when the Reserve Bank is meeting, we could get a rate cut. So remember, we had a rate cut in the last meeting. Our prime rate has gone to 7%, and the repo rate has gone to 7%, and the prime rate is at 10.5%. If that reduces hopefully by another 0.25%, that helps in terms of funding and driving the economy as well. And hopefully we will see the Reserve Bank taking some action in terms of reducing. Now, when we're talking about the currency, many of us, always look at the currency, especially our importers and exporters. For the importers, it's been fantastic because as they're importing goods in dollars and euros and the like, they've seen the benefit of a stronger rand helping them in terms of importing. And we've seen it also in terms of our fuel costs. Now, it's not been necessarily because of what's happening in South Africa. It's largely being driven by a weaker US dollar. So people are concerned about what's happening in the US by the tariffs and the way some of the policies that are being implemented by the Americans and the US president in particular. And therefore, you've seen the US dollar coming under pressure against all major currencies, including the British. In fact, the British pound is at its highest level against the US dollar in a long time. So you've seen it across the board that the US dollar has come under a bit of pressure against most currencies across the world as well. Hopefully, I think, we could maintain still some strength in the rand over the coming months as well. And again, that helps us in terms of many of our goods that we are importing into the country, and therefore it translates into stable costs for consumers as well, and hopefully maintains inflation at the relatively stable levels.
Thanks, Hassan, for that update. There's positive sentiment coming out of the economic situation. We trust and hope that South Africa will, continue to improve, and certainly that will impact on the lives of our people. Now we need to wrap up. We have a few minutes left. I'd like to bring Ish back. Ish, I know you are basically president of eThekwini Ratepayer and Residents Association, which has 65 ratepayer associations affiliated, and you're the chair also of Reservoir Hill Ratepayers Association, Ward 23, for more than 15 years. Now, Ish, you're obviously concerned about the state of service delivery, but what's your closing remarks going forward to the civic organizations that you represent?
Okay, as you know, that I have a lot of ratepayer associations under my banner. We're actually trying to band together and make our people aware of where they are going forward and what they need to do. Because the biggest problem is our service delivery has deteriorated so badly that we need to up the game. The only way we will up the game is we all band together, make sure the people that we put in power is the people that will work for us, and not somebody who will just is in there for money itself, but to do our work and make sure that service delivery is really important to them.
Now, in the meanwhile, Ish, work has to continue on the ground by the different organizations.
Correct.
And I know a lot of the organizations are in contact with municipal officials, and they're notifying them whenever there's a problem that things need to be rectified. For example, we had ORA here last week, and they notified people of certain potholes that were dangerous in Alpine Road, and I know that municipalities have responded if there's water outages. So what's your plan of action with all the ratepayer associations? You're asking them to keep the municipalities in check in the interim whilst you're mobilizing for the next elections, which is a year's time.
Correct. What's actually happening on the ground is that most of the ratepayers associations are keeping the municipality on check, especially with our water outages, electricity issues, and especially our billing issues. A lot of our associations are helping our people to make sure that they do the right thing by getting to the municipality regarding the billing issues. As you know, the billing issues is a big catastrophe at the moment. So the ratepayers associations are on the ball. They're getting things done. They're working with the municipality, and they're making sure that the municipality is getting the work done.
So, now that, Ish has spoken on behalf of 67 ratepayer associations, the message is clear. from our guest this evening, veteran Yunus Carrim, Narend, Ganesh, Hassan mentioned, as well as Ish now, that the struggle continues to improve service delivery. Ratepayer associations have to be active. Civil society has to get involved in ensuring that municipalities are held accountable, because we cannot wait to change the political structures of municipalities until maybe next year in January, because indications are that the elections are likely to take place within 3 months of that 5-year period. So because of certain challenges during December, it's likely that municipal elections may take place in January. So there's about 15 months left into preparation. So the message to civil society is be active, join your civic associations or ratepayer associations, rather than sitting back and waiting for something to happen, political change in the new year. Hopefully, because of the concern of municipal elections, most of the political parties will be putting pressure to their officials to start delivering. And I know with Etekweni, Narend has mentioned that a large amount of money was returned because they don't have the ability to spend. So you need to hold the municipalities accountable, but work with your ratepayer associations. Load shedding has been behind us for quite a while because of pressure from the public. So likewise, I think in terms of potholes, in terms of sewer blockages, in terms of water and electricity outages, we have to report these faults timelessly and get people out on the ground and ensure that the call centers are notified and officials are held to account, even councillors of the area. So that's a clear message. We will continue with these type of discussions in the future. In terms of the global unrest, Palestine is the limelight, and as our brother Ismail Moolla said, that this flotilla of 40 boat ships are sailing. We make du'as that they reach their destination safely, and the message goes through to the Zionists. And indeed, that the Arab world that has been silent must catch a wake-up call and start mobilizing to hold Israel accountable for this genocide. Brother Yunus Carrim mentioned that the situation is far worse than the pre-apartheid era in South Africa, but South Africa is quite resilient in putting pressure on ICJ to take action. But certainly as Muslims, we believe that Allah is in control of the entire universe. So we should, always remember that these brothers have to be remembered in our du'as. And, du'as are accepted if our amals are in order. So our amals are that we must obey Allah's commandments as shown to us by Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Do good, be good, help people that are in need, and also make du'as for those that are suffering throughout the world. And it is not only Muslims, a lot of non-Muslims are going through challenges in South Africa, in the informal settlements, in other parts of the world because of oppression and tyranny. So we make du'as to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ease the difficulties of our people throughout the world, but more particular with our brothers and sisters in Palestine, because every day there are bombings taking place and people are being executed and killed and martyred, etc. On that note, shukran for joining us, our guest this evening, Hassan Motala. PRAHLADH is always willing to join us. Narend, Ganesh, Ismail Moolla, and Brother Yunus Carrim. A big thanks to Dawood Monli. He battled a little bit some technical hitches here, but eventually got it right. And this is what happens when you're a technician. Sometimes some unknown facts crop up. So we had a bit of a problem with some sounds, but we eventually got the show complete. So I thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope we gave you all some clear information about what's happening, and we trust that we will cover these subjects going forward in the future weeks. Until next Wednesday, same time at 8 p.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. खुदा ने मुझको